All right. So this is going to be the first video of the kind of beginner to like programming and development. This is a nice little virtual box I set up with operating system. This should be like good sandbox to play around in, right? There's going to be two things we're going to use. We're going to use a terminal, which you can use any, but if you have a sandbox or even if you're on Windows, you should have something like this that you can type commands into. And then the second thing is you should have an IDE. You can use Visual Studio. I recommend IntelliJ, and it's going to be the one I'm going to be using for educational purposes. Now, whenever you open this IDE, right, I want you to click New Project and then name it Lecture 01. Make sure it's at a location that you can actually get to. It'll probably default to somewhere in your home directory or somewhere in your documents. It's going to be a Java project, and it's going to have some sample code. I'm going to hit create right here, and it'll create everything that we need. And this should look very familiar to you if you've been attending the lectures and you've seen the Hello World program that we've been messing around with. Now, this is a bit of a, I wouldn't say advanced, maybe like intermediate topic, but I want to do these lessons with Git happening alongside it. I want Git to be something that you learn as you do this, and it will be a good tool in your arsenal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna navigate to this folder. I'm gonna open it, and then right here I'm gonna do right click, open in terminal. What this will do is it will open up the console directly into the folder that your project's in. And the very first git command you're ever gonna run is gonna be git init. This will create a repository in this folder that will keep track of code changes as you make them, right? And then I could do git status to see if it worked. And it's saying that basically it's an empty repository. There's no commits or anything. Now, if you don't know what a repository is, it's basically just a fancy word for project. What you'll usually do when you're working with the code from the team is you will clone the repository from GitHub onto your computer. So you'll start with something, right? This is how you initialize it on your machine. You can actually upload it later, and I plan to make a separate video. It'll take like 4 minutes, so you can put it on your personal GitHub accounts. Now, we're gonna work on this, right? So, the very first thing that you ever do as a programmer is you have this program called Hello World. All it does is you run this program, and it prints Hello World right here. Now, the way it works, right, is this right here is a method. A method is basically like an action. It just says print line. And what it does is these little things in these parentheses, it'll print whatever is inside of here. So you have this string of characters, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a word. It's like a sentence. It's like a bunch of text. And whatever you put in here, it will print. Now, I made one change to this code. So what I should do is I should go here and I should commit these changes. I'm going to go to get status. I am going to see absolutely nothing there. And it's because it's in the source folder. So what I'm going to do is these red files I want to start keeping track of, right? So I'm going to do git add, and then I can just cheat and just do the folder. Now if I do git status again, you're going to see that I added this file to keep track of. Source main Java, which if you're paying attention is this file that we're working on right here. I'm going to do git commit. Don't just do this because it'll put you in something that's really hard to get out of. You're going to use -m for message, and then you're going to write first commit. Now if you do git status, it'll tell you you're on branch master, and it should tell you how many commits you had. But your local repository is the only repository, so it has nothing to compare it to, so you're fine. Back to the actual lesson of learning things. Okay. So right here, right? Back to the actual program. There's a bunch of words here, or a bunch of characters, string of text that you have here that you're printing. What you can do is we can actually change this to be a variable. I'm going to write A, right? So whenever this happens, it's going to do system.out.println and then A. Now, if you notice right here, it's red. Why is it red? It's because we don't know what A is. It's like you're trying to use X in an equation, but you don't know what X is, and you don't even know that X is a letter. What we have to do is we have to declare the variable. So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to declare, and right now, it's going to be a string. This string, what this word means, is it's the data type of the variable. We're wanting to print a string, so we're going to make a string variable. I want to make the name of the variable. I'm just going to call it A, and then boom. I have a variable A that I can use. And if you notice, the color's changed. Now, it sees that it's a variable, but it says it must not have been initialized. This, if you recall, is me declaring a variable. This is me saying, hey, I have a variable that represents a string. Its name is A. Now, if I say I have a string and its name is A and I tell you to print it, you're probably going to be confused because I haven't told you what the string actually is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do A equals, and I'm going to say text here. And then now there's no more error. So now if I run it, I see text here. And now is a good time to go ahead and do git status. See that this is different. Do git add source main.java, git commit, and then we're going to do second commit. And then boom, your second edit to the code has been saved. Now, you might be wondering, well, I just had I had like a bunch of text here and I moved over here. What's the point of that, right? You can manipulate these variables. So let me make a new variable. And I'm going to call it B. And let's just say I want it to be, let's do an integer. I'm going to call it B. And then as a little cheat, so I don't have to write it over 2 lines, I could just immediately do equals and I'll set it to a number. Now here, I use quotation marks because there's a bunch of text. I had to feed text into a string to save it, right? An integer is just a number, so you don't want the quotes because it's not text, it's just the number itself. Now, you can declare it and then initialize it just like that, or you can declare it and then initialize it. And then the cool thing is, I can now do weird things, like I can say a, the string variable a, is equal to itself plus 1. Now, and if you ever see this in like in a math class where you're doing algebra, this will make your head explode, because how is a equal to itself plus 1? This will give you like a no solution, right? In computer science, it's not really a math equation, it's an assignment. So this symbol, this little equal sign, is assignment, right? And I'm going to change this to be. What this is saying is that the variable a, you're going to assign it a value, and then whatever's on the right is going to be that value. Now, it's whatever the value of a currently is, plus whatever the value of b currently is. Whenever this line happens, a is no longer just text here, it's going to be text here, and then it's going to be 1 attached to the end of it. Text here, 1. And boom. You have now created 2 different variables with different types and manipulated them together to make a combined output. Now, I'm going to remind you to go back here, do get status. You're going to see that this is red, meaning it's changed. And you should do the same, get add. So now it's green. So now you could do a commit message. And then boom, you're good on the Git side. I am going to stop this recording for here and then go a bit more into depth with how we can do cool things to build strings and print out things that we might want to print out.